So please join us in welcoming Lisa the Rocha to Royal Page Atlantic.
Thank you. Thank you. Would it be okay if I started by telling you how I got to be standing here at this point in time?
Of course.
Thank you. I love that. Well, for those who knew Business Lisa, they used to say, girl, you've mastered the game of business. You co-founded a company in your 20s and you grew it to a multi-million-dollar enterprise. You were then recruited into corporate and you got to the top in record speed. You were the youngest vice president with the company. And you were being groomed by the CEO to take on more and more responsibility. In other words, they kind of call me an overachiever. Any other overachievers in the room? Don't be shy. I know you're out there.
Overeaters.
And how many of you look at us overachievers and go, oh, come on, really? Come on. Well, what I'd like to share with you today is the real story. Who Lisa actually is under all of those accomplishments and achievements. What was really going on behind the scenes. You see, what everyone got to see was Business Lisa, the woman above the surface. But there was a lot going on below the surface that no one saw. Would it be okay if I shared that story with you today? Thanks. And I love your enthusiasm. Before I go any further, I wanted to thank Katrina Thompson and the rest of the team for having me here. I am so excited to be here. It's actually the first time I am sharing this story. And it's a very personal story. And I am excited and, you know, to be honest, a little nervous about sharing this. At the end, I'll have an invitation for you to talk to me one-on-one if there are things here that you'd like to explore further. And you'll hear more about that as we approach conclusion. So what's my goal? My goal today is to share my story in hopes that it has you reflect on your own. That it has you reflect on what's driven your actions to this point in time, and take pause and consciously choose how you'd like your actions to be driven from here on in. You see, the people that work with me tend to be overachievers, high achievers. They've got a long list of achievements behind them, and they've got big plans for the future. But they've seen the under the surface energy that sometimes brings. And they want to make sure that not only are they achieving and having and contributing the way they want to society, but they want to make sure that there aren't huge costs to that achievement, that they're there for the people that they love, in addition to all of the achievements. So who here would like to know how to truly achieve, but to achieve on your own terms, defined by you? And who among you loves the drive, loves contributing, making a difference, having an impact in your communities and with the people that you touch? But you want to be able to do this in a healthy way. You guys are really eager. I love it. Yes, yes. Yeah. And how many of you want to make sure that all your passion in one area of your life doesn't come with huge regrets in others, or failures, or missing out? Great. So let's take a journey. Let's get to know the real Lisa, the behind-the-scenes woman. My first story takes us back to Christmas of 2011. Anybody here have a hard time asking for help? Yeah. Me too. My identity was Superwoman. At the time, I was on maternity leave with my second daughter. I had Madeline, who was 3, and Lauren, who was 10 months old. Being an overachiever, I was also working on the family business that I had co-founded years before. We had just expanded into e-commerce and retail and distribution, and the company needed strategic planning and branding and marketing, which, guess what, just happens to be my area of expertise. And we were looking for our next family home. And not just the next family home, but like the home. You know, the one that you're going to raise your kids in and you're only going to sell once you're ready to downsize and the kids have hopefully moved out. On November of 2011, we found the house. And not only was it the perfect house for us, it was the house located on the street that my husband and I, as teenagers, had walked and dreamt about living in one day. And I, in that instance, had a bright idea. We would host Christmas at our house that year. And not only would we host Christmas, we would host a 3-day event Christmas in total overachiever mode. And so I got to work. This is November. And in addition to caring for my kids and working on the family business, I now started project managing renovations in this house and furnishing it, because we actually sold all of our furniture with our previous home. And I worked and worked, and on December 18th was our first meal in our brand new home. Now you might think it was cute. We have a 3-year-old and a baby and we're sitting on the floor having a picnic. Actually, we had no chairs yet. We were 6 days away from hosting over 20 people in our home. And this is how I unpacked with my little one in our boxes. The next 6 days went by in a blur. I unpacked everything, I got all the furniture in, I put artwork on the walls. Ask me why I needed artwork on the walls just to have my family over, but I did. And we were ready. December 24th, we welcomed over 20 people to our home. December 24th, I cooked a fish feast. I'm originally born in Canada, but first generation, we're from Portugal, and on the 24th, you have a fish feast. And so I cooked 3 types of different fish and appetizers, and I baked gluten-free, from scratch desserts. And then on the 25th, I got up early and I made your traditional turkey dinner. And on the 26th, I had everyone over again and made a Mediterranean seafood paella. Anyone hungry and tired? At the end of the 26th, exhausted, I sat with my cup of tea with my parents and my in-laws, who proceeded to talk about how great my husband was. Caring father, supportive husband, all around good guy.
Did you keep him?
I did. He's all those things. He's all those things and more. But in that moment, I was crushed. And not only was I crushed, I was angry. Because those 6 weeks of me working to exhaustion was all about proving myself. It was all about proving to the family who had accepted me as an accomplished businesswoman to also see that I could be the perfect mom, the perfect wife, the perfect daughter, and the perfect family member. You see, I did it for all of the wrong reasons. I did it for the recognition of others, for the acceptance of others. It came from a place of wanting to show that I could excel at everything. Here's how it came up at work. So I'm returning back to work after my maternity leave. Not that I wasn't working while I was on mat leave, but I'm returning back and I'm excited. I'm really excited about going back to my corporate life, one that I knew very, very well. And on the first day, I probably get the worst news that an overachiever can get. I got a cushy job. And most people would be really happy with a cushy job. And people that supported you at work. And I mean, there was an opportunity to contribute. There was work to be done. It was a leadership role. There was lots to be happy about. And yet, I felt benched. I felt like I was on the sidelines now. Here I was coming back, and they were putting me on the sidelines. What was actually happening at that point in time was that at that stage, I was appointed to the top 1% of employees worldwide by the corporation. I felt benched. At the same time, the CEO was spending more and more time with me, coaching and mentoring me one-on-one to take on more and more responsibility. And all I could see was that I was benched. At that point in time, there was so much work to be done. But because I was so used to chasing the stress, chasing the big, big job, chasing the busyness of life, I couldn't see that this was a blessing. All I wanted to do was be challenged, be on the main stage, show what I was capable of, because somehow I still didn't believe it. The corporation believed it, but I didn't. So why am I telling you all this? There's food again on there. Probably not the best thing right before lunch, but what I realized was that there is a healthy way to be driven, and there's an unhealthy way to be driven. And what I had been driven by up until this point was an unhealthy energy. I was being driven by the energy that wanted to prove to everyone and to myself what I was capable of, what I could achieve. All of my actions, at their core, when I really got true with myself and faced what I was doing, they were all being driven by fear, by doubt, and by insecurity. The alternative, being driven in a healthy way. Because I don't want you to lose your drive. That's not the intention of the talk. But there is a healthy way to be driven. And it starts off with you knowing that you are enough. And it starts with an energy of self-acceptance. And knowing that you can create anything you want. You're the author of your own story. And that drive now moves from a focus on you to a focus on others, to a focus on the type of impact you want to have, the type of contribution you want to have, and what do you want to experience now? in this moment. So many times we're so busy chasing the big achievement, the big goal, this big thing that the next shiny object that we've decided we need. And we fail to see what's right in front of our face. So, what had me shift? 3 things. I turned 40. I had welcomed baby number 3, my little guy, James, and I decided to leave my corporate life. Something funny when you start a new decade that has you reflect on the past. I don't know that it had me reflect in my 20s. When I turned 20, I was all about the future. Before, and 30s was a little different too, but 40 really had me like, shit, I might be halfway done. And it really had me think about where I was at that moment, but really where I wanted to go. And when I welcomed my little guy, 5 days before I turned 40, it really hit home that I wanted to make sure that what I was demonstrating for my children would set them up in a way that had them feel happy and fulfilled. And yes, contributing adults and making a difference and having the drive to do things that are impactful and fulfilling and really drive them. But I didn't want it to come from a place that had them question themselves. I didn't want it to be coming from a place that had them achieve for all the wrong reasons. And then leaving corporate really gave me an opportunity, time, space to think about what I wanted next. So, what I'd like to do now is talk to you a little bit about where my drive comes from today. And because I'm just as driven. My husband might say I'm even more driven. But it comes from an entirely different energy. And to understand my drive, you need to understand my parents, because they have been a huge influence in my life. So they're rocking the 70s styles in this picture. My parents are currently in their 80s, and so they said, put a picture of me that I look nice in. And this is one of my favorite pictures of my parents. So my mom, once I came along, was a stay-at-home mom. She is a fiery woman, independent, does things her own way. And she made my childhood wonderful. She commemorated every single occasion, not in a big way. Like sometimes I would open a gift and it was socks that had been in my drawer for like 2 years. But it didn't matter. It was about commemorating that day, celebrating that moment. She didn't let a moment pass by where we didn't have an opportunity to commemorate it. She also we had these the family over all of the time. Every Sunday, I'm an only child. Might explain some of my overachievement. But I always felt like I was part of a big family because we had these great family Sunday lunches where inevitably at some point in the day, the table would be put to the side and there was a dance party in the kitchen. My dad, on the other hand, is a visionary. He lost both his parents when he was 16. And his mother, on her deathbed, asked him to finish raising his 2 younger siblings, which he did. When he was working in Lisbon, decided he would teach himself French from a book. And when he felt like he knew French well enough to start talking to people that were French, he moved to Paris. and started to work in a restaurant where he was dealing with Parisians on a daily basis. He then decided to pick up an English book, taught himself how to speak English, or taught himself English, and that's how he came to Canada. Decided he would come to Canada and perfect his English. While in Canada, he bought a book on Germany. And my mom looked at him in her fiery spirit and said, "Listen, John, the only plane I'm going into is the one that's going back to Portugal, so put that German book away." My dad did, and when he was 76, he came across the book. He decided to start teaching himself German at the young age of 76. For his 80th, we went to Vienna so he could practice his French. And it was an honor to be able to go with him. My parents, and my dad specifically, was my coach growing up. My totally untrained, totally highly effective coach. And he taught me 3 very important lessons, which are the 3 lessons that I want to talk to you about today. Through my journey, I actually have 8 life principles that I live by, and that really describe how I'm driven, both at home and at work. And they've made all the difference in terms of my day-to-day life and what I've actually been able to achieve. But let's look at the 3 that come directly from my dad. They're the ones that are the most precious to me, and the ones that I share with my children so that one day they share that I've imparted this to them. The first one is gratitude, second, trust in self, and the third, human connection. So let's start with gratitude. A lot's been said about gratitude, especially recently, which I love. I love that there's a lot more attention on this. But if we look back at my story, my Christmas story, and you look at it through the lens of gratitude, you actually see how much I missed out in that beautiful occasion. There I was, standing with the people that probably love me the most in this world. I was standing in my dream home, the one that I had dreamt as a teenager to be living in. And all I could think about was the damn bird. All I could think about was putting out the perfect spread. And yet, there were so many blessings for me to appreciate in that story. The beautiful thing about gratitude is that it has you in the present. In our busy lives, so many times we're looking at what's next? What can I do now? Things will be great when. And what gratitude has you do is sit in today. It has you look at what you want from, what do you have in your life currently that there is to be blessed or grateful or thankful. It activates that part of you that's the appreciator. And we all have that part. Some of us tap into it a little more often than others. And what research shows is that, in fact, if you show gratitude today, it leads to happiness. Studies have been done at Harvard and Stanford and by a variety of very reputable scientists, and they all show the same thing. So, how do I do this on a daily basis? So, in the morning when I'm brushing my teeth, that is my mental trigger for gratitude. Very simple. I can't add too much more stuff into my life, so I do combination. And when I'm brushing my teeth, I'm thinking about the 3 things that I'm really grateful for. I have a notepad and I jot them down, but that's just the surface of gratitude. The next step around gratitude is to pick one of those. To pick one of the things that you're grateful for and actually write down at least 5 to 10 reasons why you're grateful for it. So if my husband were here, he would want me to say that I'm grateful for him, which I am. But just saying that I'm grateful for him is so surface. But to say that I'm grateful for him because we were kids when we met and we love each other just as much today as we did when we were 15, that hits home. If I say that I love him, I'm grateful for him because he leaves me, he always, before he leaves or at the beginning, during the day, he always looks at me and he's like, is there anything I can do for you today? That hits home. And I know you're laughing. You're
I said, does he have a brother too?
Yeah. And if I think about him and I say that I'm grateful that he's a wonderful father to our 3 kids and that, you know, he had really big shoes to fill because my dad was phenomenal. He is my idol and the man that I look up to in all things. And I can say I'm grateful because he's lived up. He's been wonderful. That hits home. So when you're doing, does anyone practice gratitude like a daily? Wonderful. Love that. If you don't already, I would encourage you to take the next step to actually write down why you're grateful for those particular things. If you want to really up your gratitude practice, here's one that was hard for me, but it has also made all of the difference. It's finding gratitude in the things that have gone wrong. So my dad, my hero, got diagnosed with prostate cancer a few years back. And it was hard to find great gratitude in that instance. And this was the man that I have looked up to for a long time. But when I forced myself to look for gratitude in those moments, I found them. You see, because my dad was going to the hospital all the time and he was getting treated, and I'm an only child and there's no way I was going to let my dad go on his own, I spent such an incredible amount of time with my dad. And not time when you're looking, you know, checking emails and all this other stuff's going on. No. Like, I didn't know how long I had him for. I had this beautiful one-on-one time with him. I was also grateful because a lot of our family members and extended family and friends came to visit my dad. And because I was spending so much time with him, I actually got to reconnect with people I hadn't seen in a really long time. And my dad shared with me all of the stories that he shared with me so many times growing up, and they just sounded different at this point in time. There was just something to them that just resonated a little more deeply with me. You see, there was so much to be grateful for, even in a seemingly horrific or, you know, difficult time. So, how are we doing on time? Just so, because if there's time, then, yeah? Okay. So now it's time for you guys to practice a little bit of gratitude. Everybody, I saw like some skepticism in your face. Are you guys willing to play a little bit? Wonderful, thank you. So I want you to spend a little bit of time, if you've got a pen and a notebook, I want you to just write down 3 things that you're grateful for. And then I'd like you to take one of those things and jot down at least 5 things, 5 reasons why you're grateful for those. If you're feeling really ambitious, think about something that hasn't gone really well and try to find the blessings in that. I'll leave it to you to decide whether you want to tackle that on today. But I'll give you a few minutes just to reflect on your own gratitude and for your blessings this morning. Okay, is everyone done? Anybody have a urge to share? Anybody want to share what you're grateful for? Come on.
I'm grateful to live in Canada.
Yeah, absolutely, Jessica. Yeah. Any other takers?
I'm grateful for having my son Ryan with
One more person on this side. Oh, sorry. Here, we'll do 2. You go ahead.
I'll do a hard one.
Yeah.
I lost my best friend when I was 21.
Yep.
But I'm grateful that I had her for as long as I did. And losing her taught me so much, and I carry that with me every day.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yes.
Well, mine might seem slightly random to most, but I'm really, because that's who I am, but I'm really grateful for an anonymous person signing their donor card, because that was a selfish act of goodness that now gave my aunt her life back
Yeah.
as of yesterday.
Beautiful.
So that brought me to a very yesterday. Like I do every day work on gratitude, but that was the first time I really felt something more present.
Yeah. Yeah. Gratitude is really powerful. And it sounds really woo-woo to some. And yet, when you take the time to really look at our blessings, we're actually training our brain to find more and more. It's when we don't take that opportunity that blessings just fly by us and we don't even notice. And I'm a perfect example of that. Whether it were Christmas or my cushy job. Second one, trust in self. You see, my dad used to always say to me, Lisa, you can do anything you put your mind to. It might take you a little longer, but hey, you can do it. And I think what I interpreted that to mean was that I had to do everything, that I had to achieve. And what I realized my dad was saying to me was that you've got it all available to you. It's all in you already. It's just a matter of learning to tap into whatever it is you want to tap into, and then follow your dream. Move, take action, do it. But come from a place that I am enough. I've got it all here. I may stumble, I may trip, but it's just a learning opportunity. It's an opportunity to draw on a different part of us. And the experience is totally different. When you're running from achievement to achievement to achievement, you miss the whole richness and aliveness of the path, of the journey. All you see is the trophy at the end. And guess what? When you're there and the trophy's in hand, you take a few minutes to celebrate and you drop it and you see the next one. And so if you don't train yourself to celebrate the wins along the way, you'll always be just chasing the next big trophy. And you won't see all of the things that you're learning, all of the skills that you're tapping into, and everything that you're becoming. The beautiful thing about, and I spoke about this a little earlier, about trusting in self and starting from a place of, I am enough, I have full self-acceptance, I'm not perfect, nor should I be, but whatever it is that I want to do, I'm going to be able to do it, I'm going to learn, I'm going to trip, but I'm going to draw on all of the things that are already existing in me, is that it has you focus on the type of impact you want to have. You know, it's not about not going for the trophy, it's about enjoying that process in the midst of it. And to go for the trophy that you actually want. Not the perfect Christmas was not my intention. If I really took an opportunity to come from a place of, I have nothing to prove. My parents love me, my in-laws love me, my whole family loves me. And even in my cushy job, I mean, if I had just come from a place of self-acceptance, what could have I impacted in that moment having a cushy job? I mean, that was my opportunity as I look back. That was my opportunity to start imparting my knowledge on other people, on those that were younger than I was, investing in them. I mean, the possibilities would have been endless, but I was not in a state of mind of creativity. I was looking at all of the things that I wasn't able to prove. Does that make sense? All right, time for you to play now. Excited? I want you to think about your biggest accomplishment, the one you're most proud of. But rather than talk about what it is or what it was, I want you to think about what you needed to draw on in order to achieve that. Who did you need to be in order to achieve that? What skills did you use that are gifts that got you there? Because it's not about the achievement. It's about what's inside of you that you can tap into. What was it about you that had you achieve that? Who did you need to be? Who were you in order to achieve that? What special gifts did you draw on that are there for you, available at every time, at any moment, that got you to achieve that thing that you're so proud of? Okay? Is that clear? Okay, a few minutes. Okay, so who would like to share? You don't have to talk, you don't have to say what your achievement was. Just tell us, what was it in you that you drew on, whether a skill or just something, an energy. Yeah, thank you.
I'm not going to say what it was, but
Yeah.
I managed to do it by not giving up and by continuing feeling the fear and doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Just being terrified of what was going to happen, but doing it, kind of like talking right now. I'm really.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Thank you. Who else? I'm going to go to this side of the room because someone's volunteered on this side. Who would like to share? Yes.
Mine was moving away from New Brunswick.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of being the only one in the family to be determined and motivated to do something more for myself.
Yeah. What do you learn from that exercise? What does that exercise do for you?
It's hard to be nice to yourself, to find something to talk to put down on paper. What are you worthy worthy of.
And when you did?
Well, I got 3 little things. I think they're pretty, pretty nice. I'm a nice person. I
Yeah.
should write that. I should write that down. Like Chris, I'm terrified right now.
It's okay.
But I put down honesty and thoughtfulness and authentic, like to be down to earth and authentic.
Yeah.
Which you shouldn't be embarrassed to say that about yourself if you are. But that's pretty hard to say, is it? Well, it isn't. It is. To feel it. Yeah.
I appreciate you, and I'm thankful that I've gotten to know you.
Oh, thanks.
Yes.
I think what I've learned, like kind of thinking of how I got to the point of being accomplished and whatever it may be, is that recognizing that your weaknesses actually might be your strengths and that you can learn from them. Might
Yeah.
be fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And kind of tagging onto that, fear. I think everything big had a fear attached to it.
Mhm.
But somewhere in there, it's also a motivator, not a demotivator. Otherwise, you wouldn't have gotten through it.
Yeah. It means there's something important there for you. Yeah. And I believe you were going to say something earlier, were you?
I can't remember.
Okay.
But you said
Yeah.
something like, what did you learn from this exercise?
Yes.
It all came from within.
Yes.
You know, it's not external stuff, it's from within.
Yeah. And it's all there available to you whenever you want to draw on it. Yeah. Okay, last one. Human connection. My dad used to always say when I'd come to him with some kind of crazy thing that was going on in my life, he'd always say, Lisa, you know what? All of the noise is just noise. When you really come down to the core of any issue, there's a human connection issue there. It all comes down to human connection. So figure out what that is, do that, and things seem to work out. Even though I had over 20 people in my home for Christmas, you know, my family was kind of disappointed in me. And yeah, I saw the eyes going, really, what? But you work so hard, yeah. They weren't disappointed in my achievement because they knew I could do it before I did. They were disappointed because I didn't spend any time with them. I mean, I wish I had videotaped it, and that picture is the only friggin' picture I have from Christmas because I was so busy with my to-dos. I was so busy making sure the table was just so that I didn't realize I had all of the people that I loved so much around me, and I didn't bring it down to the human connection. You know, when I look back now on that Christmas, I do look back on it as a special time in my life. But it could have been so much richer for me. What I think about is that turkey came out pretty good. And those gluten-free baking, you know, cookies were bang on. And what I could have said was, wow, I had this beautiful connection with my sister-in-law. She told me this, and I shared this. Or I could have said, you know, it was Lauren's first Christmas. It went by in a blur. It was her first Christmas. And so, you know, so many times people talk about balance. We got to balance, we got to balance. I don't know, I don't believe in balance. But what I do believe in is being fully present wherever it is that you are. So, you know, we've got some rules in our home. And I do them for me, for myself. I, you know, try to get my husband to do them, and he's getting there. But when I'm there with my children, I'm there with my children. 100% there. I don't want another Christmas 2011. I really don't want to look back and go, damn, that was her first Christmas. I can't remember it. When I'm with my parents, who are in their 80s now, my dad's 81 and my mom's 83, like I am there. I soak up all the stories I have heard 101 times. And I look for that one little nugget that I didn't hear the last time I heard that story. I still get all my stuff done, and some days my 100% is 10 or 15 minutes before the kids go to bed, but they're 10 and 15 minutes of me there, not an hour of me doing a bunch of stuff and them walking around or running around. Screaming is more likely what's happening. The other beautiful thing that I have realized about human connection is that to really have deep connection with another human being, you need to show all of yourself. You need to be vulnerable. You see, and I come back to this Christmas story, but so many people offered help for me at that time. Whether it was my mom or my mother-in-law or my sister-in-laws, they all, at one point, I received a phone call that said, "Hey Lisa, we know you got a lot going on. Can we cook the bird for you?" And every time I said no. No, I got this. I got this. Had I just said, and then I didn't have it. I was struggling. I had a lot going on. I was stressed. I knew it. But I didn't allow them to see that. I kept on keeping that to myself. I wasn't allowing myself to be fully seen. And more so, I was having very little compassion for myself. If a girlfriend had come to me with this story, I would have said, "Girl, are you crazy? Like, take the help. Take the friggin' help. You've got a lot going on. Your family loves you." Like, it's so easy to say it to someone else. But I wasn't having that same compassion with myself. So what I do now is I actually, number one, make sure that when I'm carving out 100% present time with the people I love. The other thing that I do is every week I reflect on people that have come up into my mind that I really want to connect with, that I miss their energy in my life, that for whatever reason they come to mind, and I book it in my calendar. I'm booking some time with this person. We're going for coffee, we're going for lunch, whatever. But I don't want my life to go by in a fury of accomplishments and achievements and realize 40 years from now, if I make it that long, no, that there were so many people that I wanted to connect with that I didn't take the time to do that. So I think we're over time, right? Probably. So I'll just leave you with this, and then we'll recap. But for human connection, take a moment today, this week, and just think about how your connections are. How present are you when you're there physically? Are you actually there? And it's quality, it's not quantity. So how do you bring in the quality of those connections? Give yourself an opportunity to reflect on that. And then give yourself at least one action that you're going to do in order to improve the quality of your human connections. You guys willing to do that for yourselves? Okay. All right, recap. First thing, gratitude. Take pause. Look at the blessings that you have now. Stop chasing the blessings that will come tomorrow. You'll have an opportunity to recognize them and feel blessed and give thanks for them when they arrive. But don't let this moment go by without accepting and recognizing the blessings you have today. Self-worth. Know that you have everything within you right now, sitting here, to accomplish whatever it is that you want. It's a matter of activating whatever it is that you want to activate to get there. But stop doing things for everyone else's approval. Stop doing things because you're trying to prove to yourself that you can do it, or show to everyone else that you can do it. If you're excited about something, do it. Go for it. But use that energy to move you forward in a way that has you stand in your greatness already. Yes, you're going to learn. Yes, you're going to trip. Yes, you're going to make mistakes. But allow yourself to be human. Connections. What I've realized is that for me, the meaning of life is human connections. It's all about the relationships that I'm investing in. It's all about the quality of those. And so I have no interest in being successful and alone. I had a damn successful 2011 Christmas because it could have been in a friggin' magazine. But you know what? I was totally alone. With all those beautiful people around me, I felt alone. So, in conclusion, if I can leave you with one thing, it's this. Drive is good. I don't want to take your drive away from you because I'm driven and I love being driven. And goals are great. I have them. I have actual goals for the year and I follow them, I share them, I do all of that great stuff. But what the difference is today is that I enjoy the journey. See, a goal is a goal is a goal, and then you achieve it, and then you put it to the side, and you're off to the next one. And what I realize now is that there's an opportunity to find the happiness and the fulfillment today in the journey, because that's where the richness and the aliveness of life actually lies. When you think about the achievements that you've had, you think about what got you there. And it's all in you already. So choose your goal, be driven, but have it come from a place that is truly authentic, compassionate, and enjoy the process. Pause. Take stock. And pat yourself on the back. And, you know, we've got this one life. Some people think we have more, but I believe that we have this one life. And what I've learned from getting, since my big 4-0, is that I don't want it to just go on by in the fury of to-dos. I want to enjoy this ride. And I welcome you each to enjoy yours. Thank you.